You're watching the Beloved Plant channel. Today I'm inspecting all my Christmas cacti and I've noticed that one of them is in a bit of trouble. My little troublemaker. Every year I release a video about how I revive this plant, but I'll do it differently this year. So this year I'll take the time to record the plant from the time that it's all droopy and mushy until it's fully recovered and flowering again. We'll examine this plant together. I'm gonna give you some pointers on what to look for when you're doing this at home so you'll have higher chances of success of recovering your plants. In the succulent over here, there's a very similar problem to what you've seen in the Christmas cactus. Basically, what I want to teach you is that whatever you're learning here is applicable to many, if not all, of the plants that you could have at home. But I'm going to talk about this succulent later in the video to show you a different technique that could also be useful to you in a very brief way, because I have a video fully dedicated to this technique here in the channel and you can check it out. The link is above. Okay, so your analysis will happen every time you water your plants or you look at them because they're gorgeous. Like this one, it's got these reddish leaves, but there's nothing wrong with it. It looks healthy. Leaves are doing great. And it's only looking like that because it's got direct sunlight on it. But as you look at all of them, you might notice that one of the plants is not doing great, which is the case for this one. So if you take a closer look, you'll see that there are some spots here. There's red spots. This is not normal. There's some sort of disease going on with this plant and I don't know what it is. You can see the roots coming out here in the midsections. This should signal to you that this plant is looking for alternatives. It's trying to grow out roots in other places because the main root is not doing the job it's supposed to do, or because nutrition is not coming in. If you don't water your plants enough, this will happen again, even if the roots are all right underneath. I'll be doing this on top of this tray, but you could do this in a smarter way if you get a tray that has no holes in it. It's just to kind of minimize the mess here. But yeah, I can see some roots, but that's not to say that they are attached to the main plant, so we'll have to kind of poke and dig the plant out carefully. I'm using my bare hands, not any tools, just to be careful, but I ended up plucking it out. Not intentionally, but it's just that there's no root left. The root system is completely rotten. What's here is rotten and won't do anything for the plant. What I have here looking closer is perlite, and I kind of don't like using perlite because when I see it I think, ooh, millibugs. I don't see any larvae of any sort in the soil either. There's a lot of sand in the mix that I have here, and I would normally see damage like this done by fungus gnats. I don't see their tiny larvae, but that's not to say that this wasn't what caused the damage. Worth for me to say that during fall time and winter time, I normally have infestations. I never let fungus gnat go untreated, and I treat it with adhesive. So I use these adhesives here so they would stick to it, and the amount of bugs that you would see in them at the end of 2 or 3 weeks is just impressive. So I never go a winter without that. I just think plants are more prone to root rot during this time. I'm based in Ireland, and these bugs like to feed on unhealthy roots. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bury these at this level so that these new roots here that are just fine start thriving and helping the plant recover. Recovery is going to be really fast for this one because the new root system is already there. So I have washed my plant in running water and I'm putting it in new soil in this new pot. As you can see here, I'm discarding all of the old soil. I'm not reusing any of it. It could reinfest this plant or infest new plants if there's any bug or larvae that I cannot see with my eyes here. Alrighty, as a final step, I watered it, plenty of water, and this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna leave it alone. Come back, see if it's doing okay. Water it again. Leave it alone. Come back, see if it's doing okay, and leave it alone. The sequence of videos that starts now is pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna have an idea of timeline of how the plant recovered from me. I made a joke in one of my older videos saying that anyone who's serious about having this plant long term would need a defibrillator beside it because it's such a sensitive plant. But the truth is that if you're attuned to the plant, and by attuned I mean just paying enough attention to see when it needs you to step in, like you watched me do now, simply identifying that there was a problem with the roots, and in my case, all I needed was new soil in a different pot, burying the plant deeper. The only difference with the Christmas cactus is that you kind of need to take action and jump in a bit more often, at least in my own experience. So it's not personal. The plant is not trying to push your buttons. It just requires a little bit more attention and it will reward you. If you want to know, all this just makes me love this plant even more because it gives me an opportunity to disconnect of this crazy world, the go, 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 go mode. The plant follows its cycle at the end of the year. Every year it flowers. You can't make it go slower. You can't make it go faster. Well, you can. There are techniques for that. And I might even teach you in different videos, but we're missing the point when we're doing that. Just watching it follow its cycle reminds us that everything has its rhythm, everything has its cycle, everything takes its own time to happen, and we have this habit of trying to make everything go faster. And we wreck things when we do that. So that's the beauty of all plants, and that's the beauty of this plant. Now, if you want to look at this plant with me, this succulent is so badly dehydrated. Of course, again, here there's something wrong with the root system. The plant cannot soak up hydration. You see, it's got actually a very decent root system over here on the side. And if you take a closer look, the stem is going dry. So, yep, roots are gone, the stem is going, and the succulent will be gone itself if I don't take an action now. Even though I'd say it's been like this maybe for over a month. So, you know, they are very resistant plants. I'm just gonna cut it here at the base. You can see there are some roots as well. I could just go ahead and plant this, to be very honest. The plant would do well. It already has the roots. We need to let it callus over. We need to let it heal, which basically means, you're gonna sense that the plant is a little bit wet when you cut it. It's gonna dry off. I'd say a day is more than enough. Some people would say 7 days. I think that's way too much. But anyway, a day is safe generally. And I live in Ireland, like the weather here is not, it's not even close to tropical. So what I like doing when I'm propagating or recovering succulents, I like getting a cup of clear water and dipping the plant in it once it's calloused over. Now, with this amount of roots, the plant would do fine if I put it in the compost. However, I don't want it to drop these dehydrated leaves, and a way of saving them is dipping them in water. So I just want to see all these leaves plumped, filled up again before I put it in the soil. And I think it would genuinely recover in the soil over here, but in a matter of maybe 2 days, this plant will be recovered already. Water is also my preferred propagation method for propagating with leaves. This is so possible and not everybody knows. If you want to know more about it, you'll see the link with the full explanation of how I do it down in the description. Take a look at how well it's looking. Ah, fungus gnats. Hate them. Anyway, look at these roots. Now, of course, this wasn't just a couple of days. I have completely neglected this plant, kind of knowing it was being taken care of. Like, water is life for every life in this planet anyway. So I left it here for a good few weeks. So as you can see, people could actually cultivate succulents in water, no problem at all, right? If you end up leaving your plant for way too long and the root system just grows out like crazy, just bear in mind if it gets tangled like this, two different plants, be careful when you're separating it because while you're doing it, you might lose all the roots, like I kind of did here. But again, the purpose here wasn't necessarily to get more roots in the plant. It was actually to get it hydrated again, and it is hydrated, so happy days. So yeah, I'm gonna put this line to the side because there's something coming up here. I'm actually going to take out all the leaves from the bottom. For the ones on the top, I'm gonna lightly twist like this, because this actually is a technique to make new growth come out. And then I'll detach the leaves later on. These ones, I've just detached them, and the water is not the water, sorry, the compost is kind of moist. It's pretty damp actually. So I'm just gonna give this maybe a day to make sure that it heals and it scars off, to avoid rot. There's some root left over. I kind of broke all the roots when I was separating this one from its mama here. Okay, there you are, fully recovered.